Atomic Habits, written by James Clear and summarized by StoryScoops, focuses on how habits form and the power of small changes to bring about big improvements in life. The book starts with James Clear sharing a personal story from high school. He had a serious head injury from a baseball accident which led to a long and difficult recovery. During this time, he discovered how crucial habits were for getting better. By creating small and simple habits, he managed to succeed again in his sports and studies. This experience led him to develop a model for building habits that includes 4 steps: cue, craving, response, and reward. He also provides 4 rules for changing habits. Clear believes that habits are like compound interest for self-improvement. Small actions add up over time. The concepts in the book, though based on scientific research, are easy to grasp and can be applied to various areas such as health, finances, and relationships. Clear's concept of atomic habits showcases the significance of minor, consistent changes. He highlights the British cycling team's strategy under Dave Brailsford, who focused on improving by just 1% in every area, which eventually led to Olympic and Tour de France victories. This example demonstrates that success comes not from sudden changes, but from ongoing small improvements, similar to how compound interest works. The book suggests focusing on systems and processes, rather than only on end goals. By improving daily habits with patience and persistence, one can achieve remarkable outcomes. True success is about creating effective systems and making small improvements rather than just aiming for huge achievements. In Chapter 2, Clear examines how habits are tied to identity. Many people find it difficult to change behavior because they concentrate only on goals or methods, not on their self-identity. He contrasts 2 smokers, one who is trying to quit and another who states they are not a smoker. The one who shifts their identity finds quitting easier since their actions align with their self-view. Every action helps shape the person you aim to become, so building habits should focus on your identity rather than just results. Chapter 3 explains how habits become automatic. Through Edward Thorndike's studies, it is shown that habits form through repeated actions that receive rewards. When a behavior is rewarded, it becomes more likely to be repeated, forming a habit. Our brains adjust, making these activities automatic and freeing up mental energy for complex tasks. The book outlines a 4-step habit loop: cue, craving, response, and reward. Cues initiate cravings, leading to responses, and then rewards, which reinforce the cue. This loop offers a framework to build good habits or break bad ones. Clear also introduces 4 behavior laws: make cues obvious, make cravings attractive, make responses easy, and make rewards satisfying. These practical tips guide habit formation and transformation. In Chapter 4 of Atomic Habits, titled The Man Who Didn't Look Right, the author dives into how our habits are often driven by the subconscious mind. This means, quite often, we act without even consciously thinking about it. The chapter shares some fascinating stories to illustrate this point, like a paramedic who instinctively sensed danger with her father-in-law, military experts who could just feel the presence of threats, and even artists who could spot fake artworks with ease. These examples really show how experience trains us to detect important signals automatically, almost like second nature. Many professions, in fact, rely on these subconscious skills to make crucial decisions, even when those decisions are hard to explain logically. To help in changing habits, this chapter introduces 2 interesting tools: the Habits Scorecard and a technique called pointing and calling. The Habits Scorecard is a simple tool where you categorize your daily actions as positive, negative, or neutral. It's a way to clearly see which habits are helping you grow and which ones might be holding you back. Pointing and calling, on the other hand, is a technique where you say your actions out loud. This might sound a little odd at first, but it's surprisingly effective at preventing mistakes and increasing your awareness. The big takeaway here is that recognizing your existing habits and choices is the very first step toward making intentional changes. Chapter 5 goes into strategies for starting and sticking to new habits, using 2 concepts: implementation intentions and habit stacking. A study from 2001 found that people who planned out specific times and locations for exercise were much more successful. This showed that having clear, actionable plans works better than just tracking your progress or relying on motivation alone. The idea here is that being specific makes it so much easier to follow through. Then there's habit stacking, which is all about connecting a new habit to an existing one. This connection makes the new habit more likely to stick. The chapter also emphasizes the role of your environment, pointing out how creating clear and intentional situations can really help with habit growth. In Chapter 6, the focus shifts to the idea that, well, motivation might actually be less important than the environment when it comes to shaping behavior. Dr. Anne Thorndike at Massachusetts General Hospital demonstrated this beautifully. She changed the eating habits of staff and visitors simply by modifying the cafeteria setup, without even touching their motivation. By increasing the availability of bottled water, soda sales dropped by 11.4%, while water sales rose by 25.8% over just 3 months. This really shows how much our choices rely on our surroundings, doesn't it? The chapter also dives into suggestion impulse buying, which is triggered by visual cues in stores. It discusses how environments shape behavior in ways we might not even realize. From Kurt Lewin's formula, behavior equals function of the person and environment, to practical examples like product placement, there's strong evidence that changing your environment can lead to significant shifts in behavior. The chapter emphasizes that, linking habits to specific cues can really strengthen them. Cues can actually expand to cover broader contexts, leading to behaviors that become associated with certain places or situations. It suggests redesigning environments to create dedicated spaces for specific activities. This, in turn, supports keeping those activities regular and consistent. The overall message is clear. Actively shaping your surroundings can foster good habits while also limiting distractions. Chapter 7 takes a closer look at self-control and habits, using some fascinating research about U.S. soldiers from the Vietnam War era. Back in 1971, a significant number of soldiers became addicted to heroin, which led the government to focus on prevention and rehabilitation methods. But surprisingly, when these soldiers returned home, only 5% fell back into addiction within a year. This unexpected outcome really challenged the common belief that addiction is permanent. It showed how a change in environment can play a huge role in breaking bad habits. Lee Robbins' research revealed that soldiers became addicted in Vietnam due to stress and peer pressure. When they returned home, the absence of these stressors made recovery much easier. Typically in rehab situations, 90% of people relapse when they return to environments filled with familiar cues. The chapter highlights that linking bad behaviors to a lack of self-control is, well, pretty misleading. People who seem disciplined often aren't relying solely on willpower. Instead, they arrange their lives to minimize exposure to temptations. Habits, both good and bad, form and strengthen due to environmental cues, creating cycles of behavior. For example, someone who quits smoking might find themselves craving cigarettes again when exposed to certain situations or triggers. The chapter also discusses something called cue-induced wanting. This is where even brief exposure to a trigger can subconsciously reignite cravings. It becomes clear that relying only on willpower to resist temptation isn't really effective in the long run. To successfully break bad habits, it's crucial to remove the environmental cues that provoke them. Real success in self-control involves designing environments that encourage good habits while making bad habits less accessible. At its core, the secret to self-control is all about adjusting our surroundings to enhance positive cues and diminish negative ones. Chapter 8 of the Second Law dives into how making habits attractive can really help informing them. It refers to experiments by Nico Tinbergen on herring gulls, which show how animals respond to exaggerated stimuli. Interesting, right? This kind of behavior sheds light on evolutionary patterns that influence human cravings, especially for modern foods that are, well, highly enjoyable. While biological cravings are driven by those dopamine spikes, It turns out that the anticipation of rewards plays a huge role in motivation too. The idea of temptation bundling is introduced here. This means combining enjoyable activities with necessary habits to make them, more appealing. By focusing on the rewards and making habits enjoyable, individuals can create lasting positive changes. It's all about making the process feel good, not just the outcome. Chapter 9 explores how family and friends shape our habits, and it uses the story of the Polgar sisters as a fascinating example. Their father, Laszlo Polgar, believed that talent wasn't just something you're born with. It could actually be developed through hard work and dedication. This chapter challenges the whole idea of innate talent, suggesting instead that environment and social norms play a pretty crucial role in habit formation. Since humans are social creatures, we naturally strive to fit in and gain approval. We often mimic habits from those around us, our community, and even people in powerful positions. These influences shape what we consider normal. The Polgar sisters, for instance, became famous chess players because of their unique upbringing, showing how adopting behaviors common in one's social circle can lead to success. The chapter emphasizes the importance of surrounding yourself with cultures that promote the habits you want to develop. After all, our environments can either push us forward or hold us back. Chapter 10 takes a deep dive into why bad habits stick, and more importantly, how to change them. It starts with a story about a dinner in Turkey, where social influences encouraged bad habits like smoking. Mike, who shares this story, managed to quit smoking thanks to Alan Carr's book. The book makes it clear, smoking doesn't actually offer any real benefits. Instead, it harms your health, wastes your money, and lowers your self-esteem. The chapter also digs into cravings, explaining that things we want, like smoking or endlessly scrolling social media, often stem from basic needs like eating, socializing, or feeling important. Over time, we get comfortable with these habits because they seem to address those deeper issues. To change bad habits, the author suggests making them more attractive by simply adjusting your perspective. For example, turning "I have to" into "I get to" can make a task feel like an opportunity instead of a chore. Linking new habits with enjoyable activities can also help build positive habits and weaken the pull of negative ones. To overcome bad habits, it's essential to focus on their downsides and the benefits of letting them go. The chapter wraps up by revisiting the rules of behavior change, pointing out that understanding these rules can really help in building good habits and breaking the bad ones. In Chapter 11, The Third Law, Make It Easy, the discussion is all about the difference between just planning and actually doing things, which, honestly, leads to real outcomes. An example from a photography class at the University of Florida shows that students who practiced frequently produced better results than those who only concentrated on theory. Repeating actions is essential for habit formation. The more we do something, the more our brain learns to do it automatically. The key message here is that true learning happens through doing rather than just planning. Making a habit easy to carry out is absolutely crucial for successfully establishing it. In Chapter 12 of Guns, Germs, and Steel by Jared Diamond, the author dives into how geography impacts human behavior, especially in agriculture. He explains that the north-south orientation of the Americas versus the east-west orientation of Europe and Asia plays a significant role in farming success. In Europe and Asia, similar climates across the same latitude made it much easier for agriculture to spread. This, in turn, led to quicker population growth and stronger civilizations compared to the Americas. The main idea of the chapter is that reducing effort in forming habits can lead to better results in the long run. By designing environments and habits that require less effort, individuals can lead more productive and fulfilling lives. Chapter 13 shifts focus to tackling procrastination with the 2-minute rule, which encourages starting new habits with tasks that take less than 2 minutes. Celebrated choreographer Twyla Tharp uses her habit of taking a taxi each morning as an example of how routine can kickstart larger tasks. The chapter notes that up to half of our daily actions are habitual, impacting our decisions and shaping outcomes. By adopting small manageable habits, people can build consistency and align their actions with personal goals, paving the way for lasting success. In Chapter 14, the author dives into how to make good habits unavoidable and bad habits, well, a lot more difficult. One way to achieve this is through what's called commitment devices. These are present decisions that help guide your future actions, making it easier to stick to your goals. A great example of this is Victor Hugo, who used a commitment device to overcome procrastination. It's pretty fascinating, really. This idea ties into something known as the Ulysses Pact, which is a method to manage temptations by setting up barriers ahead of time. The chapter also highlights how increasing obstacles to bad habits and leveraging technology to reinforce good ones can be incredibly powerful. By creating environments that support your goals, you can significantly enhance your quality of life. In Chapter 15 of the Fourth Law, Make It Satisfying, the focus shifts to the importance of making experiences enjoyable to improve habits. Stephen Luby, a public health expert, traveled to Karachi, Pakistan, where unsanitary conditions were causing widespread health issues. People knew they should wash their hands, but they didn't do it consistently. Luby's team introduced Safeguard soap, which was not only effective but also pleasant to use. And guess what? This simple change led to an increase in hand washing and a significant drop in children falling ill. The chapter explains that our brains are naturally wired to seek immediate rewards. We're far more likely to repeat actions that feel good right away. For instance, products like Wrigley's gum or flavored toothpaste make people more inclined to use them because they're enjoyable. However, there's a bit of a challenge here. Many good habits don't show benefits immediately, which makes people gravitate toward short-term pleasures instead. To tackle this, the author suggests linking quick rewards to positive actions and creating visible signs of progress. Over time, by making habits enjoyable and aligning them with your identity, you start to gain satisfaction from the habit itself. Eventually, the need for external rewards fades and the habit becomes its own reward. In Chapter 16 of Atomic Habits, the focus is on maintaining good habits on a daily basis. The chapter starts with the story of Trent Dursmith, a stockbroker who used a surprisingly simple method to boost his productivity. He kept 2 jars and moved a paperclip from one jar to the other after each sales call. This small act gave him immediate satisfaction and a clear sense of progress. The chapter goes on to discuss how tools like calendars can help track habits by providing visual reminders to stay on course. Historical figures like Benjamin Franklin and Jerry Seinfeld are great examples of how effective habit tracking can be. By making actions clear, appealing, and satisfying, tracking becomes a powerful tool for habit change. But it's important not to overcomplicate things. Automating the process or focusing your manual efforts on key habits can make tracking much easier. The chapter also introduces the idea of never miss twice. If you happen to skip a habit, the key is to get back to it as quickly as possible. It also advises being mindful of what you measure. Choosing the right things to track is crucial, and over-focusing on metrics without proper context can be counterproductive. Overall, tracking your habits can elevate your motivation, boost your happiness, and support long-term personal growth. It's a simple yet powerful way to build and sustain new habits. Chapter 17 dives into the importance of accountability in helping us change our behavior. It introduces the fascinating ideas of Roger Fisher, a renowned negotiation expert, who proposed some thought-provoking ways to prevent nuclear war. Fisher had this bold and, well, rather striking idea to demonstrate the gravity of lethal decisions by tying them to real human costs. It's a concept that really makes you pause and think, doesn't it? The chapter also suggests a powerful approach to tackling bad habits. Make them immediately unsatisfying by adding instant consequences. It's all about creating a stronger connection between our actions and their outcomes. This idea fits into a broader strategy for behavior change. For it to work, the consequences need to be quick, clear, and, let's be honest, just a little uncomfortable. That discomfort can be surprisingly effective in steering us away from laziness and unhealthy habits. One tool mentioned is the habit contract, where individuals commit to specific actions and agree to face certain consequences if they don't follow through. It's a clever way to bring structure and accountability into the mix. The chapter also highlights the value of involving others to hold you accountable. Through relatable personal stories, it shows how social agreements can strengthen our commitment to change. Ultimately, this chapter offers some very practical, actionable strategies using instant deterrence, accountability, and clear agreements to help us tackle those pesky bad habits once and for all. The text also explores the relationship between talent, genetics, and success. While our genes influence our abilities, they don't completely determine our future. It starts with examples of athletes Michael Phelps and Hikam El Guerrouj, who have unique body traits perfect for their sports. The book examines how genetics affect personality and behavior, using the Big Five personality traits to help us understand ourselves. The idea is to select habits and fields that align with personal traits for happiness and success. It stresses trying different opportunities before settling, highlighting the importance of exploring and then focusing in life. Using genetic traits to guide effort and decisions is advised, finding the right game where one's strengths can truly shine, leading to long-lasting satisfaction and success. Chapter 19, The Goldilocks Rule. How to Stay Motivated in Life and Work explores motivation and task difficulty. It uses comedian Steve Martin's story as an example. Martin started at Disneyland and spent years improving his craft despite failures. He learned the importance of doing tasks just beyond his comfort level, which follows the Goldilocks rule. We are most motivated when tasks are just right, not too hard, not too easy. Mastering a skill involves managing boredom while still seeking new challenges. Martin's slow progress in comedy shows the need for small, challenging improvements, leading to full engagement moments. Boredom, more than failure, threatens success. Persistence, even during boring times, is powerful. Successful individuals continue despite boredom, knowing consistency is key. The chapter concludes by emphasizing the need to accept routine and work persistently toward excellence. Chapter 20 talks about the good and bad sides of habits when trying to get really good at things like chess, basketball, or surgery. Habits make basic tasks automatic, which frees up your mind to think better and improve skills. But there's a downside. When you rely too much on habits, you might think you're getting better when you're not. For example, even though the 1986 Los Angeles Lakers had lots of talent, they needed a structured plan called the Career Best Effort Program, or CBE, to truly better their game. This plan kept players focused on always improving and staying aware of their performance. The chapter also stresses the importance of thinking about and reviewing what you do. Successful people like marathon runner Eliud Kipchoge and swimmer Katie Ledecky carefully look at their habits and performances to find areas for improvement. It also warns against sticking too strictly to one identity because it might stop growth or change. It's important to redefine yourself to stay flexible. While habits are useful, they need regular evaluation and adjustment to ensure continuous personal growth. Towards the end, the author introduces the Sorite's paradox to explain how small changes can lead to big results over time. Adding one coin to a pile doesn't seem like much, but over time it can become quite a large pile. This shows that success is about making small, steady improvements, known as atomic habits. It's not a one-time event, but an ongoing journey of improving habits and systems. Changing habits isn't about personal failure, it's about setting up the right systems. The 4 laws of behavior change, making habits obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying, are practical tips to create better habits. These small changes can make a big difference in areas like business, fitness, learning, managing money, and relationships. Thank you for spending your time with this book. It's been rewarding to share these ideas with you. If you're looking for something else to read or listen to, I suggest checking out more of my work. If you enjoyed Atomic Habits, you can explore more by signing up at atomichabits.com/newsletter.